professors, and other jazz greats. And that wraps it up for today's Eyewitness Newsreel.
Love that jazz.
Yeah. For a first aid class when suddenly a giant oak tree came crashing down on a picnic table, killing an 8-year-old girl. 3 other campers suffered minor injuries. Twice a year, the camp undergoes a safety inspection that includes checking the trees, but it is not clear if this particular tree was ever inspected. And tonight, a 14-year-old boy is under arrest and accused of killing his 1-year-old brother. Investigators say the toddler had been
was part of a group visiting the Joseph A. Sitta Reservation in Ocean Township for a Scout-sponsored program. The children were sitting at a picnic table under a tent and did not see the 31-foot-high tree falling toward them. Police say there was little anybody could have done.
It was an accident. There's not a whole lot that anybody could have done in that situation.
3 other girls were taken to Southern Ocean County Hospital with minor injuries, and they were released.
From fair hikes to dirty trains, subway riders are speaking out about which
Township at the Boy Scouts of America campground on the Joseph Sitta Scout Reservation at Brookeville. News 12 New Jersey's Marianne Ondish has more.
Police and forestry experts are trying to figure out what would cause a 31-foot tall oak tree to suddenly come crashing to the ground.
It was an accident. There's not a whole lot that anybody could have done in that situation.
The Ocean Township Police Chief explains the freak accident that killed an 8-year-old camper from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. The chief says 4 girls from the Resident Camp Association had just finished a first aid class and were sitting at a picnic table under a tarp when the tree fell.
The counselor was walking away, heard a crack, turned around and tried to yell to them to clear out.
The 8-year-old was hit in the head. 2 other girls were injured by the branches. One suffered a broken ankle, the other cuts and bruises. A spokesman for the Boy Scouts, the group that runs the camp, says this is a terribly traumatic experience for everyone in the scouting family.
We're profoundly devastated that a young person, that anybody would get hurt, let alone have a tree fall on them in the middle of the day like this. The Boy Scouts of America are one of the most risk-aversion, safety-conscious organizations in the history of the world.
The spokesman for the Boy Scouts of America says the camp undergoes a tree safety inspection twice a year, and he says the Boy Scouts consistently work to exceed the minimum safety requirements. In Ocean Township, Marianne Ondish, News 12 New Jersey.
And we'll continue.
A freak accident, details coming up.
Plenty to talk about tonight. Thunderstorms, yet another heat wave. An 8-year-old girl died in the woods in Ocean Township, New Jersey. Fox 29's Claudia Gomez is in Ocean County with more information.
Camp leaders are calling this a tragic accident. A little girl from Doylestown was sitting in the precise spot where a giant oak came crashing down, falling right on top of her, killing her almost instantly. No one could have predicted it, and investigators say no one could have prevented it. A 31-foot tall oak tree inside this Boy Scout campground in Brookeville, Ocean County, came crashing down on an 8-year-old girl.
It cracked about 3 foot above ground. The trunk cracked, and the entire tree fell on the child.
It happened just before noon Wednesday as a group of 17 girls broke for lunch after a first aid class.
The counselor was walking away, heard a crack, turned around and tried to yell to them to clear out.
But he couldn't save the little girl. 3 other girls who sat at a picnic table with her suffered minor injuries, including scrapes and bruises and a broken ankle. Yellow police tape, barely visible through the canopy of trees, surrounded the fallen oak Wednesday afternoon.
This is a terribly traumatic experience for everyone in the scouting family. We're profoundly devastated.
Some anxious parents took their kids out of camp after the accident. Those scout leaders say the majority will stay until the week-long program ends on Friday. Still, they say the mood is somber. Scout officials say this is the first incident of its kind in the camp's 48-year history. Every spring and fall, they take measures to try to prevent this from happening.
We have an inspection of camp before our camp opens and after it closes. And we identify dead trees that need to come down. This was a live tree.
It was an accident. There's not a whole lot that anybody could have done in that situation.
A 8-year-old girl from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, was taking part in a first aid class at the Joseph Sitta Scout Reservation when the 31-foot oak tree fell without warning. Her name is being withheld. 3 other girls were hurt, one suffering a broken ankle. An overnight fire destroyed a replica cabin at the Valley Forge National Historic Park. The cabin was...
Well, grief counseling tonight for youngsters who witnessed a horrible scene at a New Jersey summer camp. That's where a Doylestown, Bucks County little girl was killed when a tree fell on top of her. This happened this afternoon at the Joseph A. Sitta Scout Reservation in Brookeville, Ocean County. Chopper 10 was over the scene just after this accident. 4 girls were sitting at a picnic table under a tent. That's when police say a 30-foot oak tree fell on the tent and then hit one of the girls on the head. The 8-year-old was killed instantly. The girls had just wrapped up a first aid camp. It was part of a Boy Scout program called Learning for Life.
This is a terribly traumatic experience for everyone in the scouting family. We're profoundly devastated.
It was an accident. There's not a whole lot that anybody could have done in this situation.
3 other girls suffered minor injuries. The victim's name has not been released.
Begin to become dehydrated.
From the looks of things, the more manpower, the better for these firefighters.
Newark. Terry Hoban is a long time. What happened?
Tree. Kelly Behan is from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. 3 other girls from Mine Hill, Morris County have minor injuries. An autopsy will be performed on Behan today. And we'll have more on these stories in just. County camp turns into tragedy for a young girl and her family. The latest. Fellow campers are mourning the death of an 8-year-old girl killed at an Ocean County sleepaway summer camp. News 12 New Jersey's Eric Landskroner has more on the tragedy.
It all started right here at the Joseph A. Sitta Scout Reservation, a Boy Scout camp in Ocean Township. A group of girls there for a week-long sleepaway was sitting around a picnic table practicing first aid when all of a sudden a counselor heard a tree crack.
The trunk cracked and the entire tree fell on the child.
A 31-foot oak came crashing down, hitting an 8-year-old girl from Doylestown, Pennsylvania in the head, killing her. 3 other girls suffered minor injuries. Police Chief Kenneth Flatt.
It was an accident. There was no warning.
A freak accident, which is making this even harder for everyone involved.
We are devastated. We're tremendously, profoundly, with every power in our being, feeling complete and utter devastation.
The Jersey Shore Council of the Boy Scouts saying nothing like this has ever happened before, and that this is the first incident in the campground's 48-year history. Eric Landskroner, News 12 New Jersey.
Kelly Behan of Doylestown, Pennsylvania is the girl killed in the accident. The girls were all taking part in a Boy Scout program called Learning for Life, meant to build confidence and values.
Striking Kelly Behan in the head. 3 other girls sitting at the picnic table were hurt. A retired Perth Amboy school teacher